The Finance Minister presented the Union Budget for the year 2013-14 today. What can only be termed a rather pragmatic budget. We must remember that this comes in an economic backdrop where we have had growth fall to about 5% for the current year. The current year also has seen consumer inflation above 10% and even wholesale price inflation above 7.5% for most of the year. So what could the Finance Minister have done? The pulls for tax policy especially were on both sides. On the one hand, consolidation of the fiscal deficit demanded higher tax rates, and on the other, the slowdown in economic activity demanded a stable or low tax regime. The Finance Minister opted to go for a fairly neutral path, barring a slight increase in the tax surcharge for high income earners above 1 crore rupees, and for corporates. The Finance Minister left tax rates largely unchanged. What this means is that with the economic activity projected to grow between 6.1 and 6.7% next year, we should see overall tax revenues increase by about 19%, which is what is projected in the budget today. On the expenditure side, the Finance Minister has definitely shown consolidation. On the one hand, he has cut the subsidy outgo by about 10%, chiefly in the three major subsidy heads, food, fertilizer and fuel. But at the same time, to keep the growth momentum going, he has increased the planned expenditure by almost 30% to 5.55 lakh crores. This is also in line with what the Reserve Bank has been calling for, that is a shift in the composition of government expenditure away from wasteful subsidies towards productive plan and capital expenditure. Net, what this means is the overall expenditure is projected to rise by about 16%, with the tax revenue increase of about 19%. The Finance Minister expects a fiscal deficit of about 5.4 lakh crores next year. That translates to about 4.8% of GDP. 4.8% of GDP is exactly in line with the fiscal consolidation roadmap that had been set out in September of last year by the Kelkar Committee. This is also in line with the medium-term projection that intends to bring the fiscal deficit to 3% by fiscal year 2016-17 and the effective revenue deficit to zero by that time. I must note at this point of time that already the revenue deficit for the upcoming year is expected to be at just under 2%. So we are well on the path towards fiscal consolidation. So here we have the tax and revenue proposals. A few small, shall we say, changes for the mutual fund industry. The mutual fund equity schemes have now been made eligible for the Rajiv Gandhi Equity Savings Scheme. In addition, the Finance Minister has given us clarity on securitization income, which was subject to some dispute last year. On the other hand, the Finance Minister has increased the dividend distribution tax on debt schemes. So it's a mixed bag for the mutual fund industry. All in, we see this as a pragmatic budget, and we think that this will allow the Reserve Bank to cut rates going forward, as the Finance Minister has essentially given a credible path towards fiscal consolidation and has delivered what the RBI was asking for. In all, we do expect the RBI to deliver rate cuts and bond yields to fall in response over a period of time. Today, of course, given that there were new proposals and given the fairly large borrowing program, bond yields have risen by about 5 to 7 basis points. But we believe that is a temporary blip, and the medium-term view remains that to stay long duration across our fixed income products.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.